Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of a double feature when we are looking at the film Life is Beautiful. Let's not mince words or anything. You know how the drill goes, so Thane, the first question goes to you. You said in your review, I'm just going to read it right here.
Okay.
The beauty behind the film is that it shows us that even in our darkest hours, we can still see the light. We can still cling to hope because in the end, life is a beautiful thing.
Spoken like a poet.
Beautiful, beautiful. But I think that was the biggest drawback for me. I didn't see any of the dark hours in the film. So where in your mind does the darkness of the film come from?
Yeah, and you know, I mean, and obviously when you had read your review, when you wrote your review, I've never seen this documentary that you mentioned in your review, but I have seen Schindler's List and I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I've seen these other World War II movies that kind of show the grittiness and the brutality and the violence and the hate that is associated with this time. And so you're right. From that aspect, there really isn't any darkness to it. It's a very fun, very happy, very lighthearted movie that's talking about a very serious subject matter. But I just thought from the aspect of the concentration camp, there are innuendos made but not shown. So there's an innuendo that, the boy comes in, they want me to take a shower, and he's like, and his dad's like, yeah, go take a shower. You know, you're a selfish boy or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't see anything, but I think that's their way of gesturing to us that, I mean, this is a place where darkness resides, and what was going on in these camps, there was no morale or no praise to be had in any of those situations. But you're right. In terms of true, the true ambiance of what was going on during that time, none of that is shown in the film.
Yeah. That's what I struggle with, because on the one hand, I like the film. Don't get me wrong. I liked it, but it's this question I have of whether or not we have a moral responsibility not to hide the truth.
Yeah.
Because he hides it from his son, and I just want to know, is that a good thing? And I think I'm coming down on that one. I'm a little bit more ambivalent because the son's young, and I don't even know how to answer that. But the film itself, I think the more I've thought about it, the more I'm going to condemn this film on moral grounds because of that. It wants to give this message, which I think is a good message. I'll agree with you that life can be beautiful out of the dark times. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, I think shows us that.
Yeah.
But it did it by anesthetizing the Holocaust.
Right.
Yeah, we get the hints. We get the pile of clothes that the women are searching through. We get the old men getting ready to go into the gas chambers. The most explicit thing we get is as he's, walking through the fog, and he sees the pile of bodies, but it's blurred, it's indistinct, and immediately walks out. And I would say because it's in a fog, it almost puts it as it's in a fantasy realm. Even if it's a nightmare, it's still
right.
A fantasy realm, and it's not as real as it could have been. And the more I think about it, the more that really starts bothering me. So do you think the message could have come out any stronger if they would have shown the realistic, here's really how ugly and dark this place is, and yet he can still think it's beautiful?
Yeah, and after I read your review, I really thought about that. I really liked what you said about the innocence of children and, when do we peel that away to show them the ugliness of reality? I really liked that question you asked because, it's very thought-provoking. And in fact, I will openly admit that my mother, when I was in high school, came to me and said, you're studying World War II right now in school, and I think it's very appropriate that you and I sit down and watch Schindler's List. I think it's very appropriate. And so my mom and I sat down. I think I was like 15 or 16, and she's like, you are studying this, you need to see this film, because this film will show you something that a history book can't.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, whoa, that film was very surprising. It really took me off guard. But on the other hand, I will agree with you that message maybe hit home harder in that film than it did in Life is Beautiful. Because of, just that there's no sugarcoating. This is what happened, and this was life back then.
Yeah.
And we can fantasize about it, we can dream about it, we can sweep it under the rug and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. Okay, that was a little dramatic. Was it though? I guess we won't know because we weren't there in that time period, but I think you're right. It's much easier to understand something when you get it full force in the face.
But I really liked what you said about, your mom sitting you down to watch Schindler's List at that appropriate age in life. I think that's really what some of these films should be for, where we can sit down and say, let's now have a frank discussion of what this is, and we can talk about it, we can show about it. And I don't know if Life is Beautiful lends itself to any of those discussions.
No, you're right. I think it's funny. When I was talking to Shelley about this is what I said. I was like, this was the second time I had seen the movie, and the second time around, I was like, this isn't really a Holocaust movie. It sort of is.
Yeah.
It is, but it's more of like a feel-good, like, don't let life get you down, kind of a movie. Which is a great message. It really is a great message. And obviously something I believe in, that, sometimes you get dealt a really crappy hand. And sometimes there are periods where life just really sucks. But does that mean we go kill ourselves? Does that mean that we feel sorry for ourselves? I don't think so. I think it just means we learn and we're like, you know what? I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be happy. I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to love my wife. I'm going to love my kids. I'm going to love my family. I'm just going to be happy. And I think that really is the key to having a successful life.
Yeah.
But you're right. I wouldn't be like, well, you're studying the Holocaust in school, so let's sit down and watch Life is Beautiful because that will really help you understand. I'm probably not going to do that. So my sort of follow-up to this conversation is I really liked the question you asked, is there a time when the ugliness should be confronted? Shielding people from the ugliness of life is not going to help them at all. It might hinder them. I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer either, whether it's good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah. For me personally, I don't know if there's anything out there that I personally would want to be shielded from. Again, like you were saying, that's not to say I'm going out looking for all of the ugliness and brutality in life. I think once that becomes the mindset, then it could poison sort of any residual faith you might have in humanity.
Right.
And once that faith in humanity is gone, the impetus to change it leaves as well.
But that was what I felt like the heart of the movie was. That, you know what, there is a time and a place when we teach our children, we instruct our children, but above all else, sometimes you gotta take the bullet and you gotta make the sacrifice so that your children can just maybe spend a few more days in innocence and just spend a little more time having that trust and that love and that faith in, in everybody. And I think that is just such a touching message because I reflect and I think back about when I was a kid and, yeah, I would trust everybody and everyone was great. And now, gosh, I wouldn't say I'm super cynical, but you know, you just kind of become this person where.
And yeah, I like that, but at the same time, I think that's what's bothering me. Because I see, yeah, that's what the Father is doing to the Son, but at the same time, I think that's exactly what the film is doing to me. And the film is not my Father, and it has no right to shield me, and I think it has a moral obligation to show me the reality, if that's the reality it's choosing to dabble in. Maybe this is just the drawback of the rating system, because I know people who will refuse to see Schindler's List because of the R rating, and I think there's several movies that are true to life. They have an incredibly uplifting message, but people will allow this R rating to keep them from seeing it. So we get a movie like this that, you know, PG-13, they'll go and watch it, but I'm afraid that for some people, the message they come away with is the Holocaust really wasn't that bad.
Right. That's a very fair statement. You're right. That is the reality of the world we live in. And we can hide from it all we want, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's not present.
Yeah.
And so maybe you're right. Maybe the more that we know about the ugliness of life, the better able we are to live in life and in the moments and sort of be at peace with the world around us. I mean, maybe.
Is the amount of our capacity for happiness sort of predicated on how much truth we understand about reality?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to think about that.
Let us know what you think. I mean, gosh, Derek and I don't have all the answers.
So let us know what you think. Do you think Life is Beautiful is a good movie? Do you think that movies that deal with these real events have a moral obligation to depict them in their reality, no matter how ugly? Or do you think the overall message gives the movie some leeway in order to soften it? Let us know in the comments below. Check us out on social media. Let us know there, and let us know what you think about this big question we sort of ended on about does happiness require darkness as well? Anyway, check back here in a few days to see the next movie that we are going to be looking at for next week. And as always, watch stupendous films.